All right, I'm maxed out on recording time for whatever reason, so we'll start over here, part 2. So inside this engine, behind this upper bearing, there's a seal that seals the counterweight, and basically this goes. The reason there's a seal there is this goes to your crankcase breather. So it runs the crankcase vent through this counterweight and out. And why it's doing that is to reduce the amount of oil that will spit out. So that seal is missing, so it's going to push oil out of it. That is kind of all that I've seen wrong inside of here, besides a little bit of dirt in the oil pickup, which right here, there's some crap in there that didn't get cleaned properly. Last part on these cases. Now I haven't pulled apart this transmission yet, and I will, but everything visually looks okay besides a little wear on the shift fork, which is abnormal for the amount of time on this. Amount of time on this engine. Some wear there. That's either way, I may or may not put a shift fork in there. But this is what I came to that was somewhat laughable, is this crankcase support plate. It drops in there like that. These screws go in. These are really short screws, but they go in there and they hold that plate down. The whole funny part about it is I get in here and I barely push on that plate and it's moving around. Well, what the person who installed this forgot to do is they forgot to countersink these holes to where these bolts can sit down and actually tighten against this plate and actually do anything. So the bolts never were tight on that plate. That allowed it to be loose and move around. That's why it has that wear on there. So comical, laughable, a little bizarre to see that somebody is just that ignorant. So what else? The lock tabs for the counterweights, they're reused. Some guys reuse those. I don't. I always put new ones on. Not too big of a deal there. We did find this this basket has some hairline cracks around the edge there. This has been a common problem that we've been seeing. So it's going to get a basket. I was thinking it was a 15 and up issue. This is a 14, so that's an issue there. Coming over to clutch kit itself, they did have the half-size fiber in there. A lot of guys like these Barnett clutches. Every one that I've seen that's been ran for any amount of time comes in completely black. So we'll be changing out these fibers and most likely these steels as a set. They did have the half-size fiber. That's going to burn up with the amount of power that this motor should make when it's running properly. What else was there? Let's see. Clutch basket, clutch. Well, that's about it. Maybe I'll find a couple other little things as we go, but this was all the issues inside of the engine itself. So kind of major. Basically, everything I touched was an issue. Same with the inside the lockout. Those two bolts for that plate there. No Loctite on those. So those had the potential to back out. Oh, yeah, there was one more thing. And that was in this hole here, that is where the spring goes to your shift star. That's what like detents it in gear. Now, there's a factory pin that goes in here that's like $2 that you have to order. But basically they drilled or they tapped that and put a screw in there with a Phillips head, which is fine in a jam, but they failed to Loctite it. So that screw itself was not tight into anything. It was just threaded in there, ready to fall out at any moment's notice. So very bizarre. This engine was destined for failure. We'll be able to go through, put it together properly with enough Loctite and proper parts to have it run and have a good life for the owner. So it's going to have to get a few parts. Unfortunately, it's going to cost him a couple bucks to fix this thing properly, but could have been a whole lot worse if he went out and rode it. So thankfully, they put the rings on wrong. That led us to take it apart. So kind of an idea of when you guys are building performance engines, if you're not doing the work yourself, don't just trust it to anybody who says, oh yeah, we can put an engine together. Because there's so much that goes into it, so much that can go wrong, so much that could be overlooked just by the person not being familiar or knowing the ins and outs and details of this engine. And huge difference between performance engine builder and a regular engine assembler. I'd stress once again, be very cautious of taking anything performance-wise to a dealership. The guys are just too spread between different models and pushed on time, and they really don't care. So like this customer, he has no recourse to go back to this dealer and get any money back. He's pretty much just screwed, and that's how it normally goes, unfortunately. But that is it. Thanks for watching, and don't do what this guy did.